We're here to be to raise our children. We are here to go to school. We're here to be part of the community. You know, we have so many different educators in schools. We have business people who are, you know, getting up and just providing things to different people.
Deqa Dhalac came to Lewiston, Maine in 2000 after living first in Toronto, where she met her husband, and then in Atlanta. She was born in Mogadishu, Somalia, where she remembers walking in her neighborhood.
I think for me, it was the most happy times that I ever had in my life, growing up in Mogadishu, Somalia, and where you know everybody and where everybody knows with other people. So it was really amazing experience for me growing up, have schools that I have all my friends there, and where sometimes I remember not taking a bus or a taxi or whatever, and I usually will walk because the people that you're going to meet on the streets are people that you know, the people that you want to say hi to. So it was really, really fun and a happy time for me growing up in Somalia.
She describes her Mogadishu neighborhood as a middle-class neighborhood. It was where she attended a co-ed public school.
The beautiful thing I remember about public schools is that kids wear uniforms, no matter whether you're rich or not. So everybody wears a uniform. So you can see when children are wearing a white shirt and a blue skirt, girls blue skirt and boys blue pants, they're in a elementary level. And then when you see kids who are wearing brown khaki pants and an orange shirt, you know they're in a middle school. And then when they're wearing a khaki pants and a white shirt, then you know they're in high school. So that's another way of, you know, figuring out what level of schooling these children are. So that was something really very motivational to me, because whether you are rich or not, you wear same clothing with the poor kids, which was, to me, fascinating, which was really good.
One of her favorite subjects in school was history.
My father introduced it to us in a young age, National Geographic magazine. So you'll see these pictures and these countries that I never heard of. And then that makes you ask more questions about, okay, what's Kazakhstan? You know, as a young age, you don't know where certain countries are, like Seychelles or Madagascar or, you know, those small islands.
The music she listened to growing up would be familiar to most Americans.
It was nice. It was a lot of listening to music, American music, and Michael Jackson, and those things were really hip back in the 80s. I remember it was really good. Yeah, it was a lot of music listening and things like that. Yeah.
But in the late 1980s, says Dhalac, the oppression from tribal factions became intolerable. Speaking out against the oppression was a dangerous proposition for anyone.
My father was one of those people. He went to jail left and right because he was against the government or what they were doing. So I remember my father going to jail all the time because he will say what is in his mind, and then he will go to jail and just put him. So he was lucky, at least he was not killed. But there are people who were not so lucky because they got shot and they got killed or taken out of their homes in the middle of the night, and you will never see them again. So those people who were against the government, who were tired of the way the government was treating their citizens, get together and wanted to do a coup and take over the country.
Dhalac's family decided she should leave and go to a safe place. She then began a journey that took her to Italy, London, and Toronto, where she was granted asylum. Later, she and her husband, who knew each other from their time in Somalia, moved to Atlanta.
Yeah, so I came to Atlanta and I'm thinking that I speak English, right? I was fluent in English. Then the southern accent, I could not understand what anybody was saying. So I had to ask my husband to, translate what these people are saying. And I'm like, what are they speaking? Is this English? He's like, yes. They speak in English, so I had to work with Southern asking people for a while to pick up those, words clearly, which I still, some of the times, I have to listen very carefully to understand it.
But it was difficult for her to continue her education in Atlanta, so she moved to Lewiston, Maine, earned an MA degree, and is now working on a second MA. She lives in South Portland now and uses her skills to counsel immigrants who have been the victims of trauma.
In Maine, we don't have enough, well, none, I would say. We don't have enough immigrant social workers in Portland and the greater Portland areas. And there is a huge gap that needs to be filled when it comes to immigrant kids and social workers who are working with them now. I'm not saying that the social workers are bad. No, absolutely. They are really, really great social workers that we have here. But a lot of the American social workers does not understand the cultural pieces that we have. And because of that, I said, okay, I need to do this, and it'll be very, very helpful to society, if you will, to fill that gap. Because everybody wants people to succeed, to have a sustainable, lives, good lives and healthy lives. So if you do not understand the person's culture, the person's traditions, the person's background, how can you provide that?
Dhalac says the best thing about her life is her children, and she worries about how perceptions about immigrants will affect them. She's had the conversation with her sons.
Well, I usually tell them, if you are stopped by a police officer, please don't argue with them. Just do as they say and just listen to them and respect them because they're the law. And just do not think that they are bad guys. They're not the bad guys. They're just doing their job. Just cooperate, talk to them, and obey the law. That's your job.
She says the Islamophobia she sees sometimes is heartbreaking.
So we have to, as immigrant folks, tell our American friends and American brothers and sisters that we're here just like you. You came here a few hundred years ago, just before us. We just came different times, and everybody's wants to do the right thing.
For Immigrant Voices, I'm Keith Ludden.